Hey squad, it's Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Came across some information, had to tap in a geopolitical 101 lesson. I always like to take the geopolitical news of the day or information I come across and share that and how it can relate to you and improving your day to day and the results you're trying to get at. So there's a famous quote by Abraham Lincoln, right? If I had to chop down a tree and I had 6 hours, he said he would spend 4 hours sharpening the axe and 2 hours cutting. Two-thirds of his efforts will be put towards preparation of the act. The data I came across the other day was Guyana has the fourth highest GDP per capita, the basis of pretty much standard economic wealth, we would say, in the world, GDP, gross domestic product. But Guyana has the fourth highest GDP per capita in the Western Hemisphere, only behind the US, Canada, and the Bahamas. That means, on a per capita terms, they're wealthier than Mexico, Brazil, even mineral powerhouses like Chile. And the reason for this, because one, Guyana has a relatively small population of less than 1 million people, and there has been a major oil discovery that they've been capitalizing on in recent years. Now, the two lessons, right? One, the call out, you seek, you will find, but it's the spatial understanding of how the world works. These borders, they're man-made. So usually in a region with a significant resource, it usually might cross over into the neighboring country. So if a country next to Guyana is Venezuela, a significant oil power, and the island off of Venezuela coast, Trinidad and Tobago, major industry is oil, chances are neighboring Guyana and any countries in that region will probably have oil potential. Same thing goes, you see that in West Africa, Nigeria, a major oil producer, Angola, the largest oil producer in the southern hemisphere. Pretty much any country between those two countries, Gabon, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, Republic of Congo, etc., they're probably going to have a major source of oil off their coast between Nigeria and Angola off that South Atlantic coast of West Africa. The second point that I want to emphasize in personal empowerment side is, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And that's such an important lesson. When I think about a lot of shortcomings I had in my life, once I knew which direction I was going in, I didn't get those shortcomings because I didn't get the opportunity, which is the key initial entry point, right? You got to get opportunities. You should be working for those opportunities. But it wasn't. I thought the opportunities would never come. But if you keep working, you'll get to the opportunities. The problem wasn't I didn't have the opportunity. The problem was that I wasn't prepared to take advantage of those opportunities. So one thing that I really learned is that to really folks spend a lot of my time, energy, and efforts on sharpening my tools. First, you got to know yourself, right? You got to know where you're going, your goals, what direction you're trying to get at, and then you'll understand what that looks like, and then you can equip yourself with the tools to get there. Now, if you don't know where to start, you'll never go wrong with focusing primarily on your health, your communication skills, and aptitude in whatever your pursuits are. But what I really came to understand is that execution and preparation are inversely correlated. At the beginning, you're going to do a lot of execution, right? In your journey at the beginning, it's a lot of execution, trying out different things, getting experience, trying to understand what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, how you enjoy it, etc. Once you thoroughly understand that, then you're able to hunker down and focus on how do you get more of that, whether that's a business industry, whether that's a career. I remember I had a career and I looked around and I saw an opportunity. There was something that needed to be done. Nobody wanted to do it. And I said, would it really take much for me to master this skill set? So I took it on myself. I raised my hand on that thing because it allowed me to conserve energy in other places. Because I got that skill set, I knew that during a downturn, which eventually happened, and it always happened in the corporate world, when it happened, this skill set was going to save my career, which it eventually did. Because all the people that embraced their culture, right? other people that embrace their comfort, I should say, they refuse to do that. And those are the people that there was too many of them. They had basically saturated the market in their current skill set and they didn't skill up. So they were out of a job at that time. So small opportunities like that is different ways, but I took the initiative. I saw the opportunity. I didn't let somebody tell me. They don't know. Most people don't know what they want. They don't know what you should be doing. I didn't let anyone direct me into their dreams or what they wanted. I assessed and I took the correct resolution. I was right in my assessment. That skill was highly desirable. And as I said, it saved my career at that point. But execution, preparation, inversely correlated. I saw what needed to be done and then I executed. So when it was time for the layoffs, I was sitting back drinking pina coladas, getting a tan. So while other people were sweating, justifiably so. But as you start off, you're going to be experimenting different things. And then as you figure out what you want, you're going to narrow down your focus. And then it's just about getting good at what you do. Think of all the training an athlete does just to play a 60-minute game or a boxer just to play maybe a couple rounds of a match. So all that training and intensity and you execute like that. So it's going to be inversely correlated. As you get you start off, you're a novice, you don't know what's going on, you're going to be experimenting a lot. But once you realize what's going on, you're focusing on sharpening your tools so that preparation time goes up and your execution, you're only executing when you need to at the times you need to. So I just say that for if you find yourself saying, okay, well, am I doing things right? Am I able to take advantage of these opportunities? Look at your time you're spending on your preparation and your execution. If you find yourself going in a million different ways, it's hard to get that incremental progress in the proper direction. But focus on your preparation. So when it is time to execute, when you have to make that move, you do it so seamlessly that it's going to be easy because you have been preparing it for this the whole time. You don't know what kind of situations you're going to be in. You might have to fight out, dance your way out, sing your way out, whatever. But focus on that skill set that's going to empower you. And that way, when it's time to execute, you're right on the ball. And I'll bring this back to Guyana. Hopefully, if Guyana was already economically viable, this oil will be a cherry on the top. They'll be smart like countries such as Norway, Singapore, UAE. That when they get these they come into riches, their oil wealth, not Singapore per se, but especially UAE and Norway that's relatable to. But when they come into an upside, they're able to put that into like a investment fund for their a sovereign wealth fund for their people and make moves across the world because everybody's going to want a piece of that sovereign wealth fund. Now, Singapore doesn't have the oil wealth, but they did put themselves in an economically viable position to have a sovereign wealth fund. So that's just a way of how some of these countries, even though they're small, can make major moves. UAE and Norway really punch above their weight in political issues around the world in comparison to their demographics because of their sovereign wealth fund. And the same thing goes for Singapore. But unfortunately, what happened is some of these poorer countries, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not prepared for these come ups, which eventually happen. You have invariable downtimes or down or headwinds in economic terms and invariable tailwinds in economic terms. This oil discovery for Guyana, major tailwind. So hopefully the leadership can do some good with it, invest in the people, the infrastructure, invest around the world, get some dividends going back and invest it into Guyana to build a better country. We can only hope. But if they were already on their P's and Q's, if they have already have their economy sorted, if the infrastructure were going, if they had industry outside of oil already working, this would have put them in such a powerful and advantageous situation that this oil basically flipped them from a poor backwater, the only English speaking South American country, poor backwater tropical country, into a global powerhouse overnight. But unfortunately, they're probably going to use some of this money and it's going to fall through the cracks and through a lot of corruption. But we'll see. We'll see. So that's my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. I just came across the news. I was so surprised how wealthy Guyana is. Congratulations to the people of Guyana. And remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So Till next time, take care. Bantu up.